seminars, through workshops, because until you change somebody's way of thinking, you have not changed that person. You like to put that person on top of the central bank, all the money will come down until his mindset has been aligned that think this way or go this way. So we change ways of thinking, we bring water into communities, we bring lights, we give scholarship to IDPs, we give scholarship to children of single parental women with very low income level, so that we can get involved in their lives and let them know that life is not all about marriage. You have potential that you can bring out of you and do something to bless the world, because God did not make a entity. So that is just a summary of what Set the Mind is all about. So today we are going to do bleach. Monday we'll do bleach, we'll do donuts, we'll do fish roll, we'll do black soap, but on the condition that we have snake gel. They told us that we should come around 11:30 to collect it. But if we don't get it today, we'll not be able to do the black soap today, because you don't collect the snake gel and keep it. If you collect it, you have to use it the same day. So if we happen to get it today at that time, then we are going to do black soap today. And then we'll do sardine. The sardine that they put in transparent buckets to serve bread. Yes. We are going to do it today. And then we are going to do baobab juice today and quality control in the afternoon today. That's for Monday. And then Tuesday we are going to do beets. We are going to do scotch egg with breadcrumbs. That is on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we are going to do beets, yaourt, what we normally call yogurt, hand sanitizer, and powder soap. Then you can normally continue to Thursday, just so the rest cake baking. I'm going to bake cake. I'm going to do business plan. We have chosen speed mindset. And then on business plan, and on work. So you could go to the field and see that if you have to engage in any business in the market, which type of business, what are the risks, what are the advantages, you go to the field with a facilitator. Then you come back and analyze the market before you leave here on Friday. It's going to be very tough. Okay. Then Saturday, cake icing with picture. They call it cake with edible picture. And then fish pie. Then graduation certificates will be offered at the end of the training. That's a rundown of the program. 1 kilogram of sodium carbonate. How many of these? 5. Okay. So now it's
Is there any reaction that we take the same?
It's advisable to wear a face mask and if possible a glove, because caustic soda, these are sodium carbonate, like I say, is what actually removes dirt. that it burns hands. Chemical shop, I'll direct you. If we have time, I'll bring somebody to teach you people. Have you heard of WhatsApp business?
What's that?
WhatsApp business.
Good morning and welcome. We are going to start with the fish roll to serve that so that we can mix roux, keep for it to rise while mixing the donut. Okay, for fish roll, 1 kilogram of flour, we use sardine, and you can use Morocco or tonguefish. Then we need carrot, pepper, yeast, white pepper, and Maggi for taste. No, I'll come back. I'll bring down the recipe. I'm just introducing the things we are going to use. So for a start, fish pie, we'll start with the sauce, the fish pie sauce. As we start preparing our carrot. For the fish is already set because we are using sardine. It is already set. But if you are eating, say the case that you are using fresh fish like Morocco, you have to clean your fish, then you boil it with salt, Maggi, and white pepper. You season it. You season it. Then you move out all the bones on the fish and put in the bowl. Then you pound. Okay, let's start cleaning our carrot. You use
1 kilo de farine pour faire
of yeast for 1 kilogram of flour. But there are so many people that don't like yeast. So you can use, say, half of that teaspoon and you put half of baking powder. So maybe if you are somebody that you have yeast or somebody that has yeast, yes, you mix those two. And then sugar. For sugar, for 1 kilogram of sugar, you use.
For 1 kilogram of flour.
1 kilogram of flour, you use 200 grams of sugar.
Je vais charger pour ceux qui n'ont pas compris. Pour 1 kilo de farine, non, tu vas utiliser 200 grammes de sucre pour faire les rouleaux de poisson. Mais il y a aussi le style qu'on fait sans sucre. There is another one that they make without sugar. Yes, but she wants to, because me, I said that let her show you half kilo sugar, half kilo without sugar, so that you can taste it. Because when you go out and do your market analysis, you will know whether the people are the ones that love the one with sugar or the one without sugar. So now she is going to teach you half kilo with sugar and half kilo without sugar. So complicated.
Then we come to oil. You can use fat, when I say fat margarine, you can use margarine and you can still use oil. For oil, you use 250 grams.
Is the frying deep fry on the machine?
In the carrot.
Pour les francophones, elle a dit que how do they call this in French? Les vues. And then baking powder is called les vues chimiques. Donc les gens n'aiment pas trop ça, les vues là, parce que ça donne, comment on appelle ça? ICS. Donc ça donne la maladie du ventre. Donc c'est souvent bien que si tu veux peut-être utiliser une cuillerée à café de ça, c'est mieux de prendre demi-cuillerée à café et demi-cuillerée à café de légumes chimiques pour mettre les deux pour diminuer la quantité parce que ce n'est pas fait pour no, so many people don't love peas because it is easy. So if you're using 1 teaspoon of peas, use half teaspoon of peas and half teaspoon of powder. Use not half of the seeds.
In the carrot. Like that. You squeeze and bring out the juice from it. Yes.
Are we going to use that chaff or the jus, madam?
No, you drink the juice.
All right.
Use this one.
All right.
If you make the carrot without squeezing out the sauce, will
Will be very water and soft. That day, you can like pass it on fire with small oil, fried with Maggi. But see if it's for business, because you don't know, maybe you cannot sell it all that day, that same day. Use it like this, so that the next day, the tea will be still, the carrot will be still fine. Now I'll put Maggi there, so that it should have taste on the carrot. Mixing. We are pounding the fish. Yes.
Then if it's fish, another 1 kilo.
can use 1 medium size of Morocco. As for pepper, pepper is optional because not everybody consumes pepper. You can make your pepper separate. When you fry it, you consume your pepper. Now after pounding the fish, you take the carrot, we mix now with the fish. And you put your white pepper.
Which quantity?
1 teaspoon.
Mori.
Two for it.
You mix the carrot and the fish. Put our white pepper and mix. Mix our fish roll. This sugar. And I'll prefer if you are, because there are some people that don't like sugar much. You can put sugar at your own taste. There's somebody that loves sugar. Put sugar at your own taste. That's it.
But even if you love sugar, she said that the one that they put sugar is 20 grams for 1 kilo. It's 200 grams rather. So for half kilo is which quantity? 100 grams. So if you love sugar, you should put more than 100 grams. But at least there's a standard measurement.
Half tablespoon salt. The water.
Quantity. Which quantity?
That's 200 grams
200
of water.
200
Milligrams.
So this is 200 milliliters of water that you put into the sugar and the salt.
Since we are going to do half kilograms of flour, we'll put half teaspoon. Teaspoon of baking powder, but inside the flour, not inside the mixture. Put it inside the flour. Sieve the flour in case that there is dirt inside.
I don't measure it.
I want to measure. I want to measure. Yes. I don't know what to say. Now we measure our baking powder, half teaspoon. I mix. This is sugar. Now we measure our 200 grams of oil.
200
And leave it as
Last one is for 1 kilo now. All right.
we mix.
For how many minutes do you mix?
We mix until it is smooth. Smooth now. We will now cut them in sizes, how the sizes that will move. If it's too sticky, you grease your hand.
already behind this one. I'm happy with it.
When you flatten it now, you take your sauce and put at the edge. Then you start rolling. For just a pinch of salt. And you can still make it like that without salt.
It means the same recipe,
The same recipe, but the same procedure,
but without sugar.
Without sugar.
And yeast.
Without yeast. You use only baking powder and oil.
Half kilo.
This one is half kilo. I began with 1 kilogram.
And you said the oil was 200.
Yes, 200 ml. So if it is half kilo, you have to divide the 200 milligram by 2, right? So 100.
So now you said this one needs a lot of oil.
Yes, we use 200 milliliters for half liter. Oh, half kilogram. You know this
I
one,
always do it on pause.
since there is no yeast, you have to make it to be a bit lighter. You know, with yeast will make it to be, when it rises up, then it will be light. But with this one, so you have to make this one out to be a bit lighter.
Because one line is
The oil.
Or
okay.
quantity of oil was added. Okay, we are done with this. You just rule now and put it. Let's go for the next thing.
Is it okay for anybody?
Yeah, because the same rule is
So I can be doing it.
kilogram of flour. We need 200 grams of margarine. 200 grams of sugar, a tablespoon of nut milk, a glass of milk. Let me say 1 tea milk.
Must be milk. Or any
You
other
can use
milk.
any other milk.
Can you use powder milk?
Yes, you dilute it, diluted milk. Yes, can use any other milk. That's sugar, no. 6 eggs. Vanilla flavor. It's 1 small teaspoon. One.
Vanilla.
Vanilla flavor.
Vanilla.
1 bottle. Just the 1 bottle. This is the bottle.
Okay, you use it for that milk.
Yes.
For 1 kilo.
It is flavor.
Oh, the vanilla is sachet.
You can use the one in sachet, but the flavor is not really like this one.
And what about vanilla? Can we use vanilla sugar in the place of vanilla flavor?
You can use, but that the flavor on the vanilla sugar is not like this one.
And if we have to use vanilla sugar, where will it be? Where can we come?
Okay, have I given of milk? Yes. Then half tablespoon, a half teaspoon salt.
Half teaspoon?
Salt.
Baking powder.
Sorry. Baking powder. 1 tablespoon. So when I'm doing my own mixture, there's extra sugar. There's extra sugar. I used to have
Are we following? This one, if I'm like that, why is it that Jalida is a require butter margarine? Is it butter or is it margarine?
I use any butter. So long as it's fat. So I use any butter.
What is the difference between butter and margarine? Very different.
There's a difference, but I cannot really keep the. When you're stirring, you know you want to cream. As you start one direction, you take the same direction. Yes. Are you expecting me to bring this thing inside this big back until you come to? Hey!
Bring somebody also to do it. You will not do it alone.
Someone to check.
That's fine.
About training, there's a little secret about training. When you come to a training center, you always know how to participate. So don't just sit and watch people doing it. You try yourself. If there's something to do, do it. Don't always say that no, the person that's teaching that's going to do it. Because as you are doing it, you're already learning one thing. When you go home, you'll not do that error again. You will learn from the error that you saw when you were doing it right. Yeah. So it's not good to just sit and fold your arms. It's good to at least participate as you are doing it to follow up. Faster.
This one is for, let me say, service rated donor, for occasion, but for business. Cannot do this one. It means you'll be working at the loss. For business, you use oil. And there's another thing for business. You don't use milk. If you put
You use
milk,
milk flavor.
yes.
There's milk flavor. You just smell acid.
You don't use milk because it is something that if you put milk, it will last only for 1 week and the thing will get bad. Then you mix.
Make the chemical
Go fast. Yes. So that the sugar can melt.
take and pour into. Mix with baking powder.
For those that don't eat don't eat this, they have to eat food.
It's advisable to reduce the quantity of things you have and take it before I complete. Because this will be really serious. Yeah, no matter what you have to manage.
Soft.
With non-milk, if you like, you put it inside your cream. If you like, you mix it with the flour. I like this with your black.
fair.
That's the milk and baking powder mixed inside the flour.
This is the best way to learn, even in pedagogy. So that when you're involved in it, it sticks.
Yeah, they say practice makes perfect.
I put your vanilla flavor.
If you are an Anglophone, please, throw your hands on 1, 2,
Vanilla
3,
flavor.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3.
They do water.
Bon, anglais,
Okay, when you put the flour,
Did you give
As you're mixing, you're looking at the texture. You're mixing it. You know, flour differ. What else if I don't use this one?
Are you saying
Why you add water on the milk, madam?
I'm diluting the water that I'm going to use in mixing the donut. I dilute it with the milk.
Okay.
You should be asking questions, so.
As I'm mixing,
Huh? It doesn't have a measurement.
flour differ. You can put a measure and you take a flour that it doesn't need much water.
What if it's normal flour? Normally, you can take which amount, then before you can add which amount. No, this
You know,
thing like
with this, we need a glass of milk. Like this one container, we use 2 glasses of water. Egg, oil.
So,
fat
for
really.
1 kilo, you use 1 tray of eggs.
That one is not for business people. I said that one is for special, those who special.
No, but
VIPs.
I'm not understanding. If we put milk and water and then after 1 week it gets bad, because I cannot make donut just to sell for 1 week. What if it
That's
goes
why
beyond
she
1 week?
says
That's
that's
why
not
from
for
the
commercial use.
From the beginning, I explained that for those who are going to
Do that for
do
business.
that for commercial, you use granite oil, water, egg. For this 1 kilo that we have just made, if we are not using milk, we are going to use 10 egg take eggs too.
So we have used the 6 eggs.
Yes.
So we just remove milk and just add the eggs to 10.
Yes.
And put what again?
We use oil.
Oil.
What quantity
You
of
don't
oil?
use jadida.
You can still use jadida. But I look at, I'm seeing that jadida will be more expensive than for commercial.
Replacing jadida with oil.
Yes.
When you are using it, replacing it with oil, what quantity of
Jadida
oil?
is 250 grams. The oil, which quantity? 250 milli.
Yes.
Please, man, it's in a solid form. When they will dissolve that jadida to liquid form, it's going to increase now. So if you are using 250 grams of jadida, equivalent to 250 milliliters of oil, does it really make sense? Because for 250 grams of jadida, if dissolved, it will be around 275 milliliters of jadida dissolved. So it shows that 25 milliliters have been added to the 250 needed. So will it disturb in any form? It will not disturb.
Hot oil. But not really hot oil.
Not drink oil. The oil is not hot. The fish will start frying.
Yes.
It means a kilo of flour has taken 10 eggs. So don't know the thing money. 1 kilo. 1 kilo.
Yeah, but the 1 kilo, the whole plenty of oil.
You move plenty dollar for 10,000. What is it already? Past 5,000. Oh, now business 100%.
Yes.
Right now, our texture is okay, but inside it is not dry. So we'll add a bit of oil to make it dry.
I have a BSc in microbiology and digital laboratory science. I am an engineer in quality control and quality assurance. I have 10 years of experience in quality control, health, safety, and environment. So, as concerns quality, I am a graduate. I graduated from the National School of Agro-Industrial Engineering in Sai University of Ghana about 10 years ago. So, it's this background that I was called to give this course. So can we start somewhere that way? Please, madam, can we start somewhere that way?
Right now we're going to start sardine fish. To do sardine fish, this is 1 kilo of sardine that was bought fresh just this morning. So it is better to buy a fresh one, because if you don't buy a fresh one, buy the one that is already weak. It will be difficult for you to remove the scales on it. So when you buy the one that is still fresh, it will be easier to remove the scales. So sardine ingredients: 1 kilo of sardine, 1 kilo of sardine, half liter of vegetable oil. Hey, you're not writing it. So you can buy white pepper that they have not yet drying. Yes, you can buy white pepper that they have not yet drying. Are we there? And then you add, I said one white pepper for 50 pounds. You need salt. 1 glass. It's good to use the white vinegar so that you not give a color to your sardine. Procedure. Procedure is good to put it in point form, please, if you will. So we better to put it in point form. Procedure. Clean and wash your sardine fish very well. Pot on the fire. And place the sardine inside. That is, you put your pot on the fire and place the sardine inside. Next point. Add a little bit of water. Add a glass full of vinegar. 1 glass of vinegar, that is the meaning of a glass full of vinegar. Reason for using vinegar: so that it can harden the fish. What's the meaning of harden the fish? If you prepare this sardine fish, just for a few minutes on the fire, the fish, the flesh will be ready and soft, but the bones will still be very, very hard. So that sardine helps the fish that when it gets soft, that it should not scatter. The vinegar helps the sardine fish so that when it gets soft, it should not scatter away from the bone, so that at the end you should have a result of you wanted it in lumps as you slice. You can still have it in that same form. So that is the reason why you put vinegar inside, and it is very necessary, very, very necessary. Okay. When you add your vinegar, I've explained the point of this vinegar, and then it is helped to harden now, and prepare it for 30 minutes. That little water that you put, when I talk of little water depends on the quantity of your sardine. As we are working here with 1 kilo of sardine, you can put even 1 liter of water, or likewise you can put half liter of water depending on the type of flame that you have. Because normally, if you want to enjoy sardine, prepare it on the gas. Yes, prepare it on the gas, and then if you're preparing on the gas, you put only at least 1 cup of water, 1 cup of vinegar. But now we see that sardine takes too long on the fire. It's 6 hours. You see that if you want, it's 6 hours, and you see that if you want to do it on the gas with that 6 hours, it's going to take your gas too much, right? But all of us know that sardine is cheap. Unless when you will be selling yours maybe for 200, somebody will say that no, sardine is cheap, they're selling for 100, but you don't know the tactic that people are using out there. So we have here in Douala, we have charcoal pot. We have even firewood side.
Sawdust.
Yes, sawdust pots that we can use as well. So on top of that, something like sawdust pot is a little bit risky because it can be very hard. But firewood fire, you can regulate the fire so that it should not be harsh. But if it is very harsh, it will make the sardine to get ready very fast, and likely the bone might not even get ready very well. Yes, so the fire has to be moderate, please. The fire has to be moderate. So the best fire to use for sardine is moderate fire. So even we are using something like charcoal fire, we should be careful about it. If it is getting too hot, I would prefer that you put a little bit of water to kill down the power. and then we'll boil for 30 minutes, I said so. We boil the sardine on the fire, including the 1 glass of half liter of water and 1 glass of vinegar. You boil it for 30 minutes. The reason why you're boiling it for 30 minutes is that, but if it gets dry before that 30 minutes, does not mean that you must wait for that 30 minutes. The reason why we're putting it for 30 minutes is because we want that vinegar should really penetrate the sardine very well. Yes, it should penetrate the sardine until it gets dry. When it gets dry now, you can add water. Next step. So after, add enough water. So after you have boiled it for that 30 minutes, right, you add enough water to it. Meaning enough water. What is enough water? It does not have a quantity. Enough water simply means put it at the level that will be more than the sardine. A bit. It should be more than the sardine, a bit. And then within that boiling, as when you add water now, you can put salt and Maggi. For our 1 kilo, we can use 5 Maggi. And then just about a teaspoon of salt. So you add enough of water, let it be above the fish. And then you prepare it for 6 hours. Next step, you prepare for 6 hours. Nota bene, to be honest, it's just like a chicken. Make sure that you check it from time to time. The sardine on the fire, right? Make sure you check it from time to time because it might happen that it gets burned. And if it gets burned, your sardine has already changed. 1, the color will change. Or not have the color of sardine. It will be brownish, which is not sardine color. And then 2, it will have all the scent of burnt parts, which is not good. Make sure that you check it from time to time. And within the 6 hours, if need arises, that the water that you put inside the sardine got dry before time, you can add water again. You can still put that same quantity, provided that you are doing and testing if the bones, because the flesh of the sardine is already ready. Now you are fighting for that bone to get ready. So within that time, as you are checking from time to time, you can be adding water. You check it from time to time, you can be adding water. So you are checking is that what? 1, it should not get burned. 2, to be adding water. Now you are already ground prepared spices. And what are the ground prepared spices? Back to the ingredients, I guess garlic and white pepper. And then you can add small pepper because some people usually say that sardine irritates them because of oil. So just say that the scent of sardine irritates them. So those are your spices there. And it is good to put it after the 6 hours. That is when you know that it's left for 30 minutes to get down from the fire, or 15 minutes to get down from the fire. Reason being, spices are not to be cooked for long, right? So if you cooked it for long, it will get the spice, the aroma, the flavor will leave. So it will not be well seasoned. Somebody will not know that your sardine is nice, but you will to know what you have put inside. But still, it will not be nice because you've not used the right constituent. So after that 6 hours, you can add your already prepared and grind spices. This is what I want to say. This sachet spices like this, I don't like it too much. Because most of these grind spices are being mixed with cornflour. Most of them, they are being mixed with cornflour. When they grind, you grind a little bit of white pepper, you put cornflour inside. So you will not know you buy it that you're happy that you don't want to stress. But the best one is there. I'll show you. We know in the grain. So you just buy the one for 50 francs and go for one.
Introduction. What is quality control? Why quality control? What are some of the activities where we find quality control? After the introduction, we are going to see quality control through a production process. Production, whether we are producing consumable or we are producing non-consumable, like beats, they are all production. See a case study for quality control and inspection using 4 M's. You can check your notes. To those who are French prime, there is a part for quality control. I think there is somebody who said he wants to see how to mitigate, how to reduce costs and things like that. You see that under statistical quality control. And of course we have distribution and storage. After we produce, everything is we have to dispatch our products to the market. Quality control begins from when we receive our raw material to when we sell our final products for delivery. Quality control continues. Even marketing agents, they must be quality inclined. So quality is found in all aspects of life. We can even apply quality control in churches. After that, we are going to see the differences between quality control and quality assurance. I think you've heard of quality assurance as well. There's quality control, there's quality assurance. And of course, we shall end the day with that aspect. As much as possible, when you have something curious, ask. Find something difficult you're not understanding, ask. Please feel free. Let's interact. It's through interactions that we are going to learn better. Quality is not an accident, but it's the result of intelligence. Quality is not an accident. I heard the teacher saying here, the product has a good quality, the product hasn't got a good quality, but what is quality? What is quality? Without looking your notes, can someone tell me what he or she imagines by quality? C'est quoi la qualité? Première impression.
Good standard. Or high standard.
Good standard, high standards. All the inherent, all the properties that can permit us to consume. Is the fish roe sour? Is the fish roe bitter? Is the fish roe yellow in color? Is the fish roe having a color that is appetizing? Is the fish roe having a general acceptable property? All these definitions will lead us to what is quality. So, they say quality is the totality of all the properties or the characteristics of a product or a services that satisfy the consumer. For example, this is a book. What is quality? All those properties, those features that permit that product to satisfy you. At times, let's say for example, this is a plain exercise book. It is a product which is fabricated by Safka. Safka is a company, right, that produces books. Had it been this plain book was produced in the sense that these lines are smaller, it won't present a good quality. Had it been you produce fish roe with so much sugar, it doesn't present a good quality. Have you ever seen a yellow fish roe? That's not quality. So quality is fitness for use. L'ensemble de toutes les propriétés, tout le caractère qui permet l'utilisateur d'être satisfait. Ça va? C'est ça, c'est la qualité. That is quality. We also said that quality also encompasses an environment. Production involves persons, right? Production involves processes. Process we want to produce your fish roll as are the persons producing qualified? Are the persons competent? Are you going to take somebody and put you in the case where the person has never fried fish roll? You say that person is incompetent. That person hasn't got the quality to produce. Okay? So in that aspect, for the person trained, okay? That's the aspect. When we are about to produce fish roll, like this example fish roll, we have our raw materials, right? Flour. Which flour? Which flour, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that there's equally flour? Huh? There's fish, right?
Yeah.
From the word fish. The salt. This an approach in these processes. We must always begin by evaluating what type of raw materials we are using. Can you determine the difference between wheat flour and cassava flour? Huh? Can you determine? Okay, if you can determine, it means you have experience in that domain. Okay? Do you know the amount of sugar to introduce in, let's say, 2 kilograms of flour in order to produce fish roll? Huh? That is its quality. If you put excess sugar, excess water, it will not produce a good fish roll. Donc, ça veut dire que notre gâteau sera de type de non-qualité. Ça va? D'accord. Through the production chain, at each step, from where you receive your raw materials to the final consumer, you must plan them in advance and apply systematic corrective action so that there shouldn't be any defect. What I mean by defect, it means there shouldn't be something that would affect the quality of that product. Okay? Ça va? Why do we apply quality? We apply quality because in a production process, when we produce fish roll today, right, and we produce fish roll tomorrow, do we add another thing in what we did yesterday? Huh? So we apply quality because manufacturing are repeated processes with controllable and non-controllable factors. If we want to produce fish roll today, we can control the amount of sugar to put inside. Okay? Huh? We can control the amount of water to put inside because we are going to measure the volume of water. Huh? But there are other factors that we cannot control. Example of such factors, human errors. We are humans. There are human errors, there are machine failures. These are some of the factors that we cannot control. And this is the reason why we must apply quality control. Study them in advance. We apply them in advance. All through the line of production. From reception of raw materials to the final product. Not only to the final product, but to when the final person consumes the product. For consumer product or the utilizer. Okay? A fish roll with a solid texture, it means we are not going to put enough water inside. Right? Right? If you want fish roll that is dry, it means we are not going to do deep frying. Okay? These are examples of deviations. If you put much water, the deviation will be that the fish roll will tend to be very soft. Do deep frying means there will be so much oil inside our fish roll. Okay? And obviously we know that so much oil in the human system is not acceptable. It is not the standard. There is a standard. Okay? We also say that quality control, QC stands for quality control. We also say that quality control is the process of verification or correction of quality of the product when deviations are found to be more than expected. Okay? Yes.
We talk about quality control and goods and products delivered. Now, can we talk about services too? Services rendered.
Services rendered.
Yes.
Of course. We define qualities of a product or a service. Services. In banks, there are quality heads in banks. There are certain banks when you arrive, there is no receptionist. Manque de qualité. Il y a de non-qualité. There are certain banks, you arrive there, communication means it's poor, non-quality. It's like from here to Douala, poor quality. Il n'y a pas de gens d'accueil, poor quality. You go to MTN, you go to Orange, you still face the same thing, poor quality. And those are organizations that are found in service provision. Alright, define quality. This is a basic definition which is defined by ISO, what we call standard. As of quality, a perception of quality is called standard. So ISO is the International Organization for Standardization. And this is how we have defined quality control. Here is the same what I've just expanded. Okay? Some basic examples of food products often have employees who test the finished products for the taste and other qualities. Can you ever manufacture any food product and send to the market without testing? There is a panel, we call it in French panel de dégustation. Degustation, where is that? Where we apply quality control. Manufacturers of food products often recruit a panel that tests the quality of that particular consumer product. We have an example, Nestlé, their products. We have Chococam. You know, there are different variations in the quality of what you produce. Those guys are very, very gifted. You can produce a product today and add a teaspoon of a sugar and produce that same product tomorrow without that sugar. They are able to tell you that this one is more sugary or this one is less sugary. This is an example of quality control. We test the variation of the quality of that product with respect to standard. Okay? Inspect garments to ensure that they are properly sewn. In large industries, in this case, they are not consumable, but there are certain persons found in loin producing companies where at the end of the production of this product, your loins or cloth, they inspect those loins to see if there's a quality variation. Those quality variation can be maybe there's somewhere that the threads have bypassed without showing a linen inside. So this is an example of quality control. Okay? They can as well inspect the intensity of the color that was applied to ensure that those clothing have similar coloration. In that aspect, they are going to take one fold of loin, and pass those dresses across, and they compare the color. Where there is a color variation, they are going to detect. They have detected that defect. They have detected that variation. This is quality control. Okay? And the last is service-oriented companies. This is an example of service-oriented companies. Often have representatives who observe the services being offered or who follow up checks to ensure that everything is done properly. Here, orange companies who deliver services. There are persons who observe to see how the services are being offered. They also as well how you notice a variation, a weakness in the company, you apply, and those persons who study what you have given, they complain and try to control the quality. Okay? Is color white? It's white. Is this flour 50 kilogram? You weigh it to determine. Is this flour dry? It's just an example, okay? There are many examples. Is this flour dry? Of course, you know when something is dry. You know when something is wet. If your flour is not dry, and you just dish it directly to begin producing benin. Inside the protocol you presented, that you said that you put this quantity of water, this quantity of this. If your flour is not dry, it means there is already water inside. And during production, if you put the quantity of water that you earlier said, with that additional humidity, you know that your end product is going to be affected. There will be a deviation. Okay? There will be a deviation. This is the importance of reception. They call it, the stage is called reception. In every field of production, the first stage is called reception. Reception means you receive your material. Take your cahier de charge. Take your cahier de charge. You take all book of specification. Cahier de charge, book of specifications about that product. You look, you observe, and you see. Observe and you see. In some cases, when the products are very, very technical, we carry out tests. We carry out humidity test. We can carry out pH test to know how acidic, to know the amount of alcohol in that product. Okay? So this is the first stage to carry out quality control. Upon reception, never you take raw materials and you begin to produce without carrying out quality control. The second stage where quality control is applied is during transformation of the product. Okay? Of raw materials. We see that the first stage to carry out quality control is during reception. When we take our book of specifications, we look at quality, we mark, and we accept or reject that raw material. Why should we reject that raw material?
If the quality is not good.
If the quality is not good. Not if the quality is not good. If a particular aspect of that raw material is not good. Quality is generally, it's good, but I want to specify if a particular characteristic feature, one or two of them are not good, we reject them. Why should we reject them? How will you know if it is good or not?
You have a standard that you are expecting from the product.
Yeah.
So when there's a deviation from the standard.
And that kind of standard is seen in which book?
Reception.
This is the stage reception, but I call the name
Specifications.
Specifications. Or in French, cahier de charge. Concept note. compare it with respect to the specification found in the cahier de charge, or book of specification. All right, that's the first phase. The second phase, where you can find quality, is while we are carrying out production. I would like to always remember you that when we are talking of production, we are not only talking of consumable. We can be producing non-consumable. Don't be looking only at what we consume. Someone can be lost there. We can also carry out quality control when we are transforming the product. It is found at this stage. Yeah? At this stage, there are processes, multiple processes. For example, we are producing fish roll. The first phase should be reception of our raw materials. Second stage should be mixing, something like that. Mixing the flour, mixing over to make the dough, right? After mixing, which stage? We allow it to ferment. To rise. When it rises, it is fermentation. When it rises, it is fermenting. Okay? The dough rises because it's fermenting. Have you heard of the word ferment? Okay. After that stage, what do we do? Fry. These are stages in transformation. And all the stages we equally carry out quality control. Okay? And the last stage of where quality control is carried out is at the final product. Of course, we don't send any product to the market without controlling the quality. These are three aspects where we carry quality control. And the last aspect, we carry quality control with the persons. They are not machines. And even their machines will carry out quality control with the machines as well. So we evaluate the people, which is applicable with service-oriented companies. Evaluate persons. All right? That is good. You are examining, you are testing any characteristic feature of a product or services to see if there is a variation in the quality of that good. That is inspection. So, it is through inspection that you know that there is a variation in the quality of a product. Okay? Is that okay? Okay, about all what? Know that there is a variation in the quality of a product. So, inspection is a mother of quality control. Equally, by questionnaire. Okay? You may inspect, someone might be producing your product. Offer me a questionnaire and ask him questions. He will give you feedbacks and his inspection. Okay? From seeing it. Observation, teaching.
Like tasting.
Of course. We just gave an example. Producers in food manufacturing companies open the final product to see if it satisfies requirements, see if it satisfies customers. Look whether you are because it doesn't concern a particular production chain. Okay? It will be the process of producing fish roll, in which case we have reception of raw materials, and these transformation processes will be mixing. After that we have mixing, after that we have fermentation, after that we have frying, after that we have packaging, and after that we have distribution. Okay? And we have our final product here. So at each stage there is quality control. So the next slide is to the appropriate person. If your company is a one-man company, show producing companies, right? 2 persons can be running that company. In most cases, 1 person produces fish roll. Like in the case my mother used to fry fish roll. She used to fry alone, long in those days. In this case, if I identify a defect, if I'm applying quality control, and I identify a defect, because she's the one who has to buy yeast, she's the one who has to buy flour, she's the one who has to buy this. Once you identify a defect, at any stage, she's the only one doing everything. Who is the appropriate person we are going to take the defect to? Yeah? It's good. Because when they say when I explain it's massive, it must be a multi-populated company before you take it. It's hard. It's higher, it's higher, it's higher, it's higher. Okay? Okay. The third stage is determine the cause, like in our yeast production. We find out that the yeast used in that production is not that which is supposed to be used. Take production. How are you going to continue to solve that problem? How will you identify even the company that produced that yeast? Yes.
If I go back to the store,
Yes.
where I bought the yeast,
Yeah.
if the man cannot respond, then
Yeah.
I will change, because I believe there are varieties of yeast in the market.
Yeah.
Then instead of me taking that very particular one, I will change and take another one.
Change and take
Company.
another one. Change and take another one.
Another company.
Another company.
Yes.
Another
Try.
company. It's still a solution. Right? I want a solution that will solve that problem. But many people are producing using the same yeast. We are not the only one producing. Other fryers as well, other fish roll producers are using that same yeast. How are you going to solve that problem? Not only for you, but for the general. Okay, to see. And if you want to determine in this case that the yeast is a cause, of course you will not determine only by observation. Big organizations will carry out sample testing to see if this yeast is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the name of the yeast. The Saccharomyces gardengensis is the name of the yeast. There are so much yeast and they are used for different. Okay? Once we determine that, we are going to trace the barcode. To solve the problem sustainably, trace the barcode and file in a report. In which case, that company is going to withdraw all the yeast that he has produced from the market through this barcode. This barcode in a company permits you to know that this product is in this location. It's in this location. These are numbers. You see through this barcode, they are numbers, right? It helps you to know that this product is in this location. Had it been it's used produced in France, how are you going to do it? So it's through this barcode. I think it's understood. Okay? Okay. You have thought about it. What are you producing?
We can produce it.
You can produce it?
Yes.
It looks like it has input, which is reception of raw materials. On that paper, I showed it now. There is pre-transformation processes, the ones that you know. If you don't put one, I will know what I will do there. But what is of interest is for you to show me how you apply quality to eliminate defects. Any kind of defect that you think that can possibly happen. Of course, you bought dresses that there are holes. That is poor quality. What are you going to do to remedy that when producing those dresses? There shouldn't be holes. You have to see that quality control and inspection look. Identify the defect, take the defect to the appropriate person. All those things are quality control. Okay? Give how to produce Supermon, Tangi water. Supermon, Tangi water. You need to. If you have only water, it's two of you. We have only water. Water is dangerous. receive water with treatment. Okay, what would you propose? Propose. Input. What are input? Raw materials. What are the things that comes in textile making? We have we have cotton, we have fabric, we have colorants, we have water. We have water. How do we control each input? After that, we have to heat the water, right? We have to immerse the fabrics inside. We have to make them plain. I like this topic. I like this topic. Okay. Keep on to change the topic now. That's the spirit. Take challenges and your stuff. The input here. What? It's clear. In week, you see the work. People are doing peanut. Is it peanut? Is it peanut? It's donuts. Donuts.
Bottles and the next one now to place it on a clean surface. Bottles and buckets.
3 minutes. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Ready? Okay.
As she's writing here, focus here.
Use quality control, yet that effect was not explained. That's it now. Explain what quality control. Okay, everybody sit down, please. Are you ready? Group number.
This is group 1. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the production of sharp production. So with this, we are going to see how we produce sharp. And producing sharp, we are going to find out the quality control found in sharp. So we have many people that produce sharp out there, but they might not know what quality control is all about. So today we are out to present to you people and make you know what quality control is all about in the production of sharp. Thank you very much. So follow as I explain. So in production of sharp, we start by our reception. This reception mostly is talking about our raw materials, and the raw materials are, we have a good quality of corn. In corn, there are many types of corn. There are even green corn, there are blue corns. Egyptian corns are different from our corn. So don't just say a corn, maybe an inch, we just want to carry the corn there and use. No. We use either white or red corn, the one we produce here in Cameroon. So you look for a good quality of corn. Good quality is the one that does not have weevils, please. That does not have weevils. And then you look for good water. Good water is drinkable water. Drinkable water. And then we need a bag. I will explain how we are going to use our bag. We need also a bucket. We need a big pot. We need firewood. Because it is very, very necessary. Back there at home, our parents used to use the firewood kitchen to cook inside, and it's always better than this our normal gas that we are using nowadays. And then we also use, we need also machines and we need bottles. It is rather unfortunate that sha is hardly bottled and sold in supermarkets. Yes, because if you bottle it, the fermentation will continue. Thank you very much. I go to the second stage, which is transformation. Transformation normally is our process, the procedure. In the transformation, we need fermentation first of the corn. The fermentation of the corn is by putting the corn, you put the corn inside water, you use the bucket, you put water inside the bucket, the drinkable water inside the bucket, and you pour your corn inside. When you pour your corn inside, since the corn was already selected because it should be a good corn, as I earlier said, you pour the corn inside, you stir the corn to remove any other extra particle found inside the corn. You float on the water and then you remove it. So when you soak your corn, you allow it overnight, the next day you remove it. How do you remove it? You drain the water out of it and use the bag to put it inside the bag. You tie the bag, the mouth of the bag, and you can put it on the sun outside. When you put it on the sun outside, is to help, the sun will help the corn that is inside to heat up and let germination take place, because sha is being produced with germinated corn. So now, you take it to, and after one day that it is under the sun, you take it inside, back inside the house. You can look a good corner of the house that is very clean. You washed it again very well. You pour your corn on the floor. And if possible, best, you have plantain's leaf, you can use it. But if you don't have plantain leaf, you can use your bag to cover the maize on the floor, the corn on the floor with it. So now, after 3 days, you discover that there will be germination. The corn is going to germinate. But before that germination takes place, you need to water the corn. So every morning you need to water the corn a bit, just a bit. You can take half a glass of water and water the corn, provided it was like 1 bucket corn or half bucket corn. So when you water it for after 3 days, you discover that the germination must have taken place, and it might germinate to about 2 centimeters. You take it from there, you grind. You take it to the machine and you do the grinding. After the grinding, you bring it back home. It's possible you put it on a free area, like a tray for it to take in air. And then you put your pot on the fire. That is why there's pot in our reception. You put the pot on the fire, you put water inside that. If you are putting the pot on the fire, excuse me, the pot shouldn't have, the fire shouldn't be under the pot yet. You can just put the pot, or you can still put it on the floor, you put water inside, and then you mix it. Where is the mixing happening? Why is the mixing happening? It's because we want we want something unique, meaning that the water and the corn should be unanimous. Thank you. And then, after mixture, you allow it to settle. When you allow it to settle, you remove the water that is being left up. You remove it and put it in another pocket. So you take now the thicker part that is left under and cook it on your fire. Cooking it, you need to stir. You need the stirring. You need to stir it. When you stir it now, when it bubbles very well, you put it down and mix it with the other one, with the water that was standing on the floor. And then you do that, you sieve it and recook it for the second time. When you recook it for the second time, you put it down again and sieve it. It is ready for consumption, but by then it will still be hot. Thank you very much. My colleague take the other side. We are going to consume.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's good. Level of reception. A quality control is at the level of reception. You take your cahier de charge.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Cahier de charge or what? Specification note. Specification note gives you what characteristics must you receive your corn. It should have a dry weight of this. It should have a color of this, because you are producing shell, maybe white shell. You don't want to produce it with yellow corn. Specification should be, it should be white corn. Those are quality control at the level of reception. At the level of transformation, we have fermentation. Fermentation is the art of converting sugar into alcohol. Okay? Quality control, we should carry out tests to see that amount of alcohol inside your beer doesn't surpasses this limit. Quality control. You should control your machines. Of course, you have done sieving. The art of sieving is to deviate the chaffs from the liquid. Quality control. If you leave it, without be sure, you drink particles. Quality control, sieving. Okay? The art of exposing inside the sunlight is to terminate fermentation, because the shower when sprinkled with water, water initiates germination, and when you expose to sunlight, it terminates germination. Because if you continue, the germination means more sugar is being consumed from the corn, and at the end product is that there will be an alteration. The shell will not still taste nice because more sugar will have been consumed in germination. Germination is like growing. Corn is, they are living things. They consume all the sugars that are inside your corn. Okay, so that's why you have to expose it in sunlight or in heat at a particular temperature to terminate germination. That is quality control. Okay, and your final product, quality control, called the sensory organ analytic organ panel. Or they call it what in French? They test it and they can accept that this product is good or not. Another quality control, evaluate if all the personnel preparing the share are competent enough. Maybe evaluate their machines, constantly repair machines. I think I've consumed it. If I just 1 minute, I see three points.
Okay, thank you very much. Our final product here is sharp. Thank you very much.
Okay, like you mentioned, we have the 4 M's we are supposed to follow in quality control that we are supposed to follow when doing our production. Okay, now the machine. Like he mentioned that the machine are supposed to be of good standard, you're supposed to make sure your machines are clean. Is the machine good for the running of the share? Then the method of fermentation is very necessary. The method, which method do you use to ferment? My colleague just explained here how the method you carry and everything, and you see the method is very clean and clear, that the fermentation will be of good quality. Now, since we are in quality control, the materials as well, like we mentioned that our corn must be of good quality, your water, potable drinking water, the environment where you produce must be a very, very clean environment. Don't just go and produce, because at times people look at you that, look at this woman, see place where they cook, and if you chop that chop, so the environment has to be clean. That's quality control. Then now we talk about man. We talk about man, that's the 4th point of quality control. Man, who do you employ? Manpower. You must check how much personal manpower, like when we're doing our donuts here, we have to cover our hair. So when producing our shower, we must take into consideration that we cover our hair. We must be clean, put on good clean clothes, and know how. Very competent.
That's very beautiful. Please give me a clap.
Thank you. Now, do they add sugar to the final product?
No, sugar is not being added to sha because sha is already having a natural sugar which is from the corn.
Yes, last.
Sha can last as long as possible, but notice that after the preparation of sha, the next day fermentation will start takes place, and as fermentation starts, it continues. So it can last, but know that with time it will become something else rather than sha that you think. So there's something else that is what is alcohol, because people use the upper layer of sha after some weeks to produce what we call a fufu.
Okay,
This group,
Okay.
good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We are here on the production of donuts. Firstly, we'll start by putting our raw materials in place. And what we need is, we need flour, we need sugar, we need egg, we need salt, we need baking powder, we need flavor, and oil. With these things, you measure it according to the quantity of what you want to produce. So after putting all these raw materials in place, you go to the reproduction process, where you mix your sugar and margarine together until it gets mixed very well, taking one direction, which adding egg gradually till it gets to the texture you want, which after your mixture, you add your dry and the ingredients to your flour and add it to the egg margarine, which is already mixed. You mix it. During mixing, you taste to see whether it is whether the texture is how you want it to be. So from there, you allow it to go to no, with donuts. After mixing, because we use deep frying, you put your oil on the fire. After mixing, you start frying. So from here, my sister will continue with how with the quality.
I don't want to cut it short. I want to ask you, it has to be linked to quality control. So are you just going to get your flour and you now will not stick to the specification to see if that flour has mold? You just take any kind of flour because yes, it's production of donut, but let it have a link with quality control. So you just buy flour, you don't know whether the flour has a maggot. You will not check all of those things. You will just go and fry because at the end you will not have the desired result. So quality control must be.
In every production process, you always begin with reception. Reception, you cross-check if the qualities, the properties of your raw materials, your flour, how will you check if it is cassava flour or wheat flour? How will you check if it's cocoyam flour or another flour? You must verify. That is quality control. If you don't verify, at the end you discover that it was cocoyam flour. Cocoyam flour will never taste like wheat flour. Okay, so during reception, you must check what kind of flour it is being produced, the texture of the flour, how dry it is. You check it across the cahier de charge, book of specification. There are several specifications, not only for flour. Your water, you must use potable water, which is consumable water. You must make sure that that water is consumable. You cannot see it with the naked eye because inside that water there could be microbial organisms as sources of contamination. How do? You assure yourself that not only it is potable water, but in some instances people send samples to laboratories for control, for analysis, to see if there are microbial organisms. That is quality control on water. Okay? Another thing is baking powder. You check if baking powder is a type, species of baking powder that is used. Okay? Alright? I'm also expecting to see, after baking powder, donuts, it passes through baking, right? Frying. But it passes through fermentation as well. They put yeast inside. I would have loved to see a box like this, reception, a box like this, mixing. You mix the flour. I would love to see fermentation because you allow it, you put yeast and allow it to stand. At each of these stages, what are the quality control processes? During mixing to a homogeneous mixture, uniform mixture is quality control to ensure that every raw material is uniformly mixed. You mix uniformly. If you don't mix uniformly, At the end product, you see that some of the donuts are thick, some of the donuts have this, some of the donuts have this. That is quality control in application. Okay? At a level of fermentation, I told you what fermentation is all about. Converting some of the sugar and allowing the dough to expand. Okay? You must think at what temperature are they fermenting? At what temperature? How much gas has been produced? Quality control. After mixing fermentation, what other stage? Frying. Are you doing deep frying or dry frying? Deep frying? The shallow frying. Deep frying, there will be absorption of much oil. And at the end, there will be more fatty acids, triglyceride in your product, of which at a certain age, it is preferred that certain person don't eat so much oil. Okay?
And
that is quality control.
And then if one or two, you fry first of all, you remove and then you taste, that is still quality control.
Quality
like
control.
What she was doing, to see if everything was actually okay. Then when she fried like 2 or 1, she said, no, I need to add egg. I need to add, that was quality control.
Quality control. And what was the name? Prototype. The subsequent fruit products will be fried according to that prototype as quality control. Okay? So it's vast. Go and consume those notes. And at the end, quality control, you have to control by taste. Alright? Taste the product, give to taste, and you should appreciate the product. Alright? Alright? It's not only presenting how they do this, how will you apply quality control to guarantee that it is utilizable. It can be used, can satisfy the customer. The end game of quality control is to satisfy the customer. When you satisfy the customer, you make profits. Customer retention, the increased customer, there's increased profitability, the avoid loss of time, and so much as we saw on our slide. Huh? Fantastic. Clap for the group.
So we are doing with the production of textile. That's we have textile production. During our textile production, we start with the reception, and during this reception, it has to do with the quality control. Here we have to have checking first the quality of our materials that in the specification of our book that we are using. Then we start with water. The water has to be clean water that we can see with our eyes that it is clean. Then secondly, we have the cotton. Then the cotton, we cannot really know the good cotton with our eyes. So with this cotton, we test it on the machine to see or to know if it is a good quality cotton. And it should be white cotton specifically. Then from then we go with the color. We have our color. That also have, we do the testing of color. We can do that naturally with our eyes, not with the machine equally. Then we have the stencil. Now, that is all we have to do with the reception. We now go to the transformation of our product. During the transformation, you have to use firstly the cotton. We put the cotton first into the machine. We put the cotton into the machine with a white and plain cloth inside the machine. Then after that, secondly, we place the white cloth on a clean surface. We don't have to place it on a colorful surface. We place it on a clean and white surface. Then after that, we add the stencil with the designs. After that, we equally mix the water, our clean water and the color. From then, we then put the clean water and color on the stencils which contains the white color, then passing on the machine. for drying, because it's something that we cannot dry it on our own. After drying on it on the machine, then we have the final part of it, which is the final production, which will give us the loin. Then when we have the loin with our colors, before we can go out for sharing or for selling.
I have a question. You can know that water is clean. Is that all about the tasting or the quality of your water? Just from the look, you just know that this water is good. And then you do not also mention the quality control part of the machine. When you were mentioning the specification of the things that you have to check, you do not mention the machine. I was just following the classes like that on air. I do not actually sit to listen.
Okay, actually, I think we have planing, reception of raw materials, planing, mixing, cutting, and distribution. Right? We plane we receive raw materials, we plane them, we mix with the necessary colorants, we dry. You have to dry. We forgot about drying. Okay? And cutting and distribution. Alright? At each stage, you have to enumerate these stages in box form. Okay? And at each stage, you cite the quality control checks. Water, you cannot check it with. It's true that the dresses are not, they are not consumable materials, but it's important to always use potable water. Don't say clean water. How clean is the water? It can be clean with the naked eye, but it's not potable. The difference between clean water and potable water. There's clean water where there is microorganisms, but it's not potable water. And don't forget that there are some microorganisms that can alter the color of water. Have you ever kept water in a cold environment after you see algae, some green things, and the water begins to change color? That is why we must make sure that we use potable water. Potable water means there are no microorganisms inside. Okay? After reception, water, the linen material or the cotton, just have to check the cahier de charge of all the specifications. Specification, what quantity, what quality, what is the texture? Are you going to use a material that is thicker or thinner? All those things you use them to compare you control in the book of specifications. Okay? You plane the dresses, you mix, you take your mixture, during mixing, what kind of equipment are you using? Is there constant repairs work at the level of the equipment? Are the personnel competent at each of those stages? Control of personnel competency at each of those stages is quality control. There are some quality control applications that are continuous and consistent. You must control the competence of all the personnel at each stage. Okay? Next, we have the drying. At what temperature are we going to dry? If you allow any kind of temperature, that temperature can destroy maybe that linen. It will not give you the desirable temperature, the desirable color. So you have to control maybe that temperature, maybe like using our control charts. I showed you an example of a control chart where the machine detects a drift in the temperature, and the production comes to a halt. You redress the situation and production continues. Those are examples of quality. At the end, you have to cut your materials and send out. And persons appreciate it. Look them if they meet the required coloration. So much. Thank you very much. And control charts, we have been seeing random sampling, acceptance sampling. These are some of the tools that are used in quality. There are more and more tools to be used in quality control. if we begin course with those tools, I think we will not have sufficient time. Okay?